What's up, folks? Sean, the average angler. Man, is it coming down out there. Those of you in California, Northern California anyway, know what I'm talking about. It is coming down. Water levels are definitely going to be coming up, even in my little lake. Color of the water is going to change, and you might sense the excitement in my voice because, man, I'm telling you, this brings fish shallow. Rising dirty water will bring fish shallow, and man, they will be ready to bite. You just got to be throwing the right types of things to catch them, and that's the key. And today we're going to go over that. This technique is just near and dear to my heart. I love fishing this way, and some of you may know what I'm talking about. All right, I've had a lot of success this time of year in these types of conditions. Okay, it doesn't have to be raining when you go out. The stain in the water is going to be there for a little bit. And this is what I will say. Don't shy away from it. The one area that I do shy away from is current with muddy water. Okay? Moving water. So like if you have a lake that's coming up, the incoming creek, when it gets a lot of current and it's being flushed with that muddy water, not the best time to be there. Now, after it slows down, settles back down, and starts to clear a bit, that's the time to be there. Out on the lake, it's different because we're not getting current, even though we're getting that muddy water pushing out into it. The fish are going to move shallow, okay? Anytime you get rising water, especially fast rising water, and if you have cover around, cover is prime time. The fish will go to that cover, okay? We're talking a foot to 5 feet, 6 feet. Those are the areas I'm looking for. Doesn't mean you won't find them deeper, because if you have cover, something to hold them on, you can find them a little deeper. But I'm not going deeper than visual cover, okay? Brush, big rock, maybe you pitch to the side of it, whatever it might be. There are several ways to approach these fish. First one, and my favorite, is a good old-fashioned jig. I'm going to go with two different style jigs depending on the type of body of water you're on. If you're up at Shasta and you're going to be going out tomorrow for the first day of the One Bass Open, I'm going to look for a finesse jig. Something like this little Mullix right here. This is a little Mullix. You'll see I've got a Rage Bug on there. That's the normal size Rage Bug, but I cut it down. I shortened it up just to keep that package nice and compact. The skirt's trimmed up just to the back, just barely past the back bend of the hook right there. Keep it compact. The spotted bass, even the largemouth in the lake, you know, they're just used to a more compact bait. And even though you got some stained water, it probably isn't going to be real dirty unless you get way up the creeks, which is when I'm going to go with something like this green pumpkin mixed with a blue craw trailer, okay? Maybe a green pumpkin and purple to add a little contrast. Now, if you get into dirtier water, here's another route you can go. Here's a little Kitech tungsten jig, green pumpkin and black. And then maybe I put on maybe a darker trailer for that, just to give it some contrast. In Shasta, you typically are gonna have kind of a reddish brown type of tint, just to help them find it a little better. Outside of Shasta and Oroville is where I really get excited for places like Berryessa, Clear Lake, and in Northern California, Don Pedro. And for other parts of the country, anywhere where you have some sort of structure, wood, brush, it could be a small bush that was up on the bank and is now flooded. This is where we get into quite a few ways to approach them. Now, I still am going to go with something like this Arky jig, okay? 1/2 ounce to 3/8 ounce, and I use, this is a black and blue, although it's hard to tell because it's dirt. There, you can see it. Black and blue trailer. This is going to be for a little bigger fish. You can use a Yamamoto twin tail trailer, something like that. If the water has a stain to it, but it's still fairly clean, then I'm probably gonna go with something like this, which, if you can see it in there, is a blue craw, okay? It's a green pumpkin. It's got some blue hues in the skirt here. And then I'm going to put on either a rage craw, probably shrink down a rage craw. You know, use the regular size because I want the kickers on it. It's dirty, remember? We want to help the fish find the bait when it's like this. I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to trim this skirt just a little bit, maybe ½ inch off of there, and then trim that rage craw down so that the claws start just behind the hook so they're not getting interfered with that skirt, and it gives them a good target to eat that jig. This is one of my favorite. I believe that is a dirty jig, and I've got more of them here, so I'll tell you what it is. It is a TL pitching jig. Okay? If you have chocolate water, chocolate milk as we like to refer to it, a little dirtier, this is a good color. It's called blackened blue. Okay, it's kind of hard to see it in that package. Let's see if that helps. Okay, there's some black, blue, looks like maybe a few strands of like purple in it, but it's that same jig I was just showing you. Very similar to that one. Okay, I have a lot of these. I don't throw black and blue a whole lot, but man, do I get excited when conditions get like this. Another route you could go is like the fire craw. Fire craw is another good one. Don't overthink the trailer. I mean, you can use a beaver, you can use a rage bug, you can use a rage craw. Whatever you have in that type of profile is fine. Okay, it's about color and making it so they can visually pick it up. And the reason I don't mind the claws, like I said, is it's putting off a vibration as it's falling to help the fish locate it. When they can't see as well, they're much more apt to eat. As far as the rod goes, it really, again, is going to depend on where I'm fishing. One of them, and these are my 2 jig rods, folks, okay, for 2 different purposes. That's the Quercus 753, the IQ 753. I also have an iRod Air 753. Essentially, it's the same rod. Little different action in the blank, but they're made for the same thing, okay? This is called RP's Worm and Jig Rod. That is a medium heavy 7'5". The other one, and I almost gave up the bait there that I'm going to talk about in just a second, the iRod 754. All right, that's the heavy. This is the iRod Air. This thing is phenomenal. Lots of power. Now this is when I'm throwing these bigger arky jigs with the full-size flipping hook on there. Okay, you see that beast right there. Use the other one when you're going down to something like that Mullix, which is still a pretty decent hook, and obviously the finesse hooks, okay? An alternate to this, and one that is really underutilized, is a swing head, okay? You can just get the swing head and then put on your bait. I like the Rage Bug, the Z-Man, or the Z-Craw by Zoom, another good one. Again, we're just looking for the color to match your water. Now this one's really good if you get in flats that are maybe shallow, have some cover on them. You can cast it out there, and I like to slow swim that baby, right? I want it pounding the bottom. Again, we're attracting attention, drawing a commotion. Get the curious fish come over, and they will eat that bait. Again, I'm going to go with like a blue craw, black and blue, something like that. Blue craw swirl, I think they have. Anything with a little kicking for the swimmers, okay? I think there's also a X-Zone adrenaline craw is a good one. And if it's not that dirty, that's a good time to go to the blue craw with some green pumpkin and blue mixed into it. The contrast helps it stand out, okay? You can also use June Bug, the purple peanut butter and jelly, that kind of thing. Moving on from the jig. Another one that you can do that works really, really well is the tube. Get you a tube if you like tubes, okay? Get you a blue cross swirl type of color, black and blue, black and red, something like that's really good. Again, adjust depending on your watercolor. All right, very simple. All right, now what we're targeting, like I told you, brush. If you're somewhere that's a rocky type lake, you can use rocks for the same thing. Much like cover, those fish will set up on the sides of rocks. They use it for ambush points. Use your eyes, pick out targets, and pitch to the said targets, or you can cast. At this time, I kind of like a little splash if the water's dirty because it kind of helps them hone in to something's going on. They're going to go over and check it out. Much different when it's clear water and they may spook. A couple other baits you can use. Chatterbait, okay? Chatterbait can be very good. You can fish it your typical way, or you can fish it much like a yo-yoing a rattle trap, okay? Again, I'm going to use colors. If it's real dirty, black and blue. The fire, what are they? Yep, fire craw. If it's a little cleaner, I'm going to go to the green pumpkin, maybe a green pumpkin blue. Bee Height Delight could be a good one. But most likely, if it's dirty, I'm going to go black and blue or the fire craw. A little cleaner, but still stained. Stained is relative. Let me make this clear. Stained is relative. So dirtier than normal is what we're looking for to cause this reaction, okay? Combined with the rising water. That really pulls these fish up. Now, the other things you can use, much, the sonic side for megabass, we're looking for orange bright, okay? Orange chartreuse combined with red or bone, okay? If you got bone color, bone stands out pretty good. Chartreuse and purple. If you're using a crankbait, use something that has a little bit of a rattle in it. Help them find it. Give them an assist. And then, of course, your craw colors, okay? Something like this color. Now, the LV, there's ways to fish it. I don't want to get into that right now. Square bills, that kind of thing, flat sides. The money badger, the rock crawler, wiggle warts, something to make some noise, but you just want them to be able to find it. You don't want them to be able to see it from too far away. You want them to have to come up to it. They're more apt to eat it. I'm going fishing this weekend. I don't care if it's raining or not. As long as the wind's not howling, I am going because I'm telling you, this is a great time to get out and catch them. And if you're cranking, that gold can be really good too. Okay, that's a little small money badger. I think that's like money badger 5. So that's a little shallow runner, right? Perfect one for that scenario. You can use wider wobblers, that kind of stuff. Just slow it down. You want to leave it in their face. Don't make them chase too far. The dirtier it gets, the more you need to slow down. Like I mentioned, the tube can be phenomenal for this type of stuff. I'm telling you folks, if you're not fishing a tube, it's coming down out there. There's a river running down my driveway. If you're not fishing a tube, it's a good time to pick it up. Now, one other thing I will add. This is a time with dirty water where if you have a jig with rattles, nowadays you can put rattles in just about anything, right? They got the little inserts, you create a little hole, you put your glass rattle in there, your plastic rattle. Rattles is not a bad thing to have right now. If you're throwing the tube, you could throw it with the brass and glass, with the tungsten and a tungsten bead, something to create a little noise, help them come and find it. Again, dirtier it gets, slow down a little bit more. Stained water, just as good, folks, okay? I've got a big bass trophy from Lake Berryessa in the middle of winter where I pitched a Strike King Rage Bug blue craw up into a tree on a steeper bank, but it had just gotten the water, had just come up into there. It was stained water, and man, that fish hit like it was the middle of summer. Not a second thought. That bait dropped in there and 8.5 pounder. All right, Sean the Average Angler, thanks for watching. Man, I'm getting excited. It's like and subscribe if you're not already. We'll see you on the next one.